And then the other thing is, don't be afraid of fighting City Hall, so to speak. Don't be afraid of fighting what is supposed to be the norm, what is the accepted. That is a death sentence. If you do sort of conform without thinking. It doesn't mean you should be a revolutionary. It means you should be a free thinker.
What's an example?
So many examples. My whole career actually is full of these examples.
And you're at the top.
Well, I appreciate it, but I think that it's interesting how everything is connected. But let me just tell you one story that's not my career, but it involves my career in a different way. So I was a medical student. I took a year off to work with a great person whose lab was like the top lab at Johns Hopkins, working on what was causing ulcers in the stomach. Right?
I never thought about that myself.
No, I mean, but this is an example of, and this is just, every time I think of this, it gives me energy. So I am honored to work in this elite lab. I remember the lab was all decorated with pictures of the lining of the stomach and all this stuff that was happening, because we thought at that time that the reason people got stomach ulcers was that they got acid somehow trickling down between the layers of the stomach, burning the inside, right? And I got an NIH grant. I was like at the top of my game here. I'm a medical student, NIH grant with this guy. I'm like, man, this is the greatest. So we write all these a year. We wrote, I think, 12 papers, which is an amazing accomplishment. And it was all about how somehow the lining of the stomach changed for different reasons, and acid kind of got away to sort of like water going in your roof kind of thing, and it impregnated the stomach, and they got ulcers. And we published these papers, and everyone's like, yes, great job, right? Same time, there are two guys in Perth, Australia. Nobody even knows where that is. I'm just telling you.
Australia.
Like, in Australia, in the 1980s, if someone said, oh yeah. And I only say this in retrospect. At the time, I didn't even know these people existed. But there are these two guys, and as a pathologist and a gastroenterologist, who are making observations about the same things as we're seeing at the great Johns Hopkins. And they're like, we don't think acid is the cause. So their observations don't quite go along with that. We are the City Hall, right?
Yeah.
So my papers, frankly, getting papers published has a lot to do with the mindset of the reviewers and the editors, right? So our papers are getting into like this.
You mean you're thinking about what the reviewers and editors might want, and then slightly catering?
No. There is a publication bias, because when I send a paper that's talking about how acid is causing these ulcers, and you believe that, you're like, we got to publish this. This is great information.
Yeah.
You see? So there's that bias of the editor and the reviewer, right? These guys in Australia are sending papers saying, we don't think it's acid. They can't even get their papers looked at. They finally, after 10 years, true story, 10 years, they get one little paper in the Australian Medical Journal, which is at the time was read only by whoever was in Australia. Nobody cared, right? They also were almost banned from medicine. This is amazing. This is a lesson for everyone who's listening. They almost were not allowed. I mean, they were like persona non grata in medicine, these guys. Finally, people start saying, maybe the emperor doesn't have any clothes on after all. Maybe it's not acid. One of these guys takes the liquid from the stomach of a patient and inoculates his own stomach to prove that it's not acid.
Okay.
And guess what? They write a paper saying it's an infection. And
so he drank it and they did not get an ulcer, because that's how sure he was that it was safe. Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was the opposite.
So the bottom line of the story is that after all these years of just being banished, people start saying maybe those two guys are right, because they're persistent, and they're like, this is what I see. I don't know what you're talking about, but this is what my eyes see.
Yeah.
They publish it, and they got the Nobel Prize in 2005.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And you know what you can do with the papers I got published?
They're probably yellow and,
Throw those 12 papers in the garbage because they mean nothing.
Yeah.
That's an important lesson. That just because, and in medicine, it is more so than any other field. What we just are vehicles of information from the past. But what we see and what we do can change that whole information. That is how medicine grows, and how we do. This is the science of medicine. So it is important to believe in your eyes and your mind and what you believe and you see, and not discount it because the masses are saying something else. So that's an important, and honestly, in my career, that lesson, which was a negative lesson, I'm the first one applauding when they got the Nobel Prize, because it was like unbelievable.
Right.
And to this day, that is the reminder to continue on questioning, not in a bad way, but in an investigator's eye kind of way, questioning the dictum, the rules.
Yeah. Okay.
That's important.
Yeah.